Hello, everybody. This is Unit 2, and I'm here with General Iowa.
Hi, folks.
We're doing this sort of side project, yet to be named. We've been throwing around some names. Dummy Plug Knights was my contribution. I don't know.
We may end up just going with that if we can't think of anything better.
Dummy Plug Rebuild.
Teeny tiny bookstore and coffee shop.
The goal of this is we're going to be talking about the Neon Genesis Evangelion manga, specifically the main story. Maybe we'll get to the crazy offshoots.
Except Campus Apocalypse.
Even Campus Apocalypse.
Oh, do we have to?
I don't know. I haven't read any of them.
You really shouldn't read Campus Apocalypse. Like Gaynor will tell you don't bother, because he's the one who read it before I did and explained just how terrible it was to me.
Are there any of them I should read?
Angelic Days I would read, simply because it's a little bit more lighthearted, but it still mixes in some themes of Eva. I mean, you can do Raising Project if you want to, but it's really just fan service.
I think I read the first 2 pages of Raising Project and had to stop.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I've read most of it. I'm not really sure why, but it's basically just like catering to the lowest common denominator of anime tropes, which is really sad.
The goal of this, we're going to be talking about the manga, how it relates to the show. The rest of the Dummy Plug crew isn't here because they haven't read them.
Yeah, that's a big problem I've noticed, as you have as well, with a lot of people that we've not only done the podcast with, but a lot of people on the website. Nobody's read the fucking manga.
Yeah, I think it's great.
I do too.
I actually like the manga better than the show. For a number of reasons, mostly, and I think this is the reason why I like it better, is it was actually written after, going opposite of how normally there's a manga that's then turned into a TV show. Was it not?
No, actually, it was not.
Did it really?
Yeah, I looked this up, and...
Because it's still going on right now.
No, it's done.
I mean, well, it finished, last summer.
It actually finished in 2000... Well, if we're talking about in Japan, it finished in June of 2013.
I mean, still, that's how many years after the end of the show?
16.
Yeah.
Because the show ended in March of 1996. The problem is that the show started in October of 1995, and the manga actually started on Boxing Day of 1994.
Oh.
Yeah.
I wonder then where the point is that they crossed. We could probably look that up.
Yeah, you know what, honestly, probably, I would say within the first, if we're using American standards, probably within the first 4 volumes.
Oh. Well, I mean,
I would say
that's good because it sort of got it out of the way early, and the manga continued to go in the same direction.
Yeah.
And it kind of seems like they figured out what went well and what went wrong with the show and fixed it. When you get into some of the later volumes, some of the stuff that was confusing or just generally unclear in the show, they made a lot more clear.
Yeah, when we get to volume 7, you're going to notice that things that are in the show get cleaned up by the manga.
Yeah.
Or they get altered by the manga in a way that actually makes things that happen make more sense.
Yeah, I usually think of it as being the same story as the show, unlike the rebuilds, which are an entirely new retelling.
Exactly. Like Rebuild is its own little. Once Rebuild finally comes out like entirely in English in the United States, which will be 2084. We'll get around to that too. Trust us.
Oh yeah.
It'd be nice just to get 3.33 in the United States in English, but
I would pay to go to a theater again to see that.
I wish I could have gone to a theater, but it would have taken me 3 hours to drive to Chicago to do that.
Oh,
and because I live in Iowa. I'm sorry, civilization doesn't exist. I have less civilization than Earth after Second Impact. Like, that's how bad off I am.
Yeah, we drove all the way to Indy to see it.
Oh, from where you go to school?
Yeah, West Lafayette.
That's not so bad.
Yeah, that was an hour.
Exactly. I mean, friggin' Gaynor probably went like 20 minutes, I bet. Because he lives in Chicago, lucky bastard. Okay,
right, so let's get to it.
Yep.
Today we're going to talk about just Volume 1. This is the first 4 chapters?
6.
6 chapters.
Or stages, as they like to call them in the manga.
Yeah, which it only takes us up to
Are we talking about like in the story or in the TV show at this point?
TV show. I don't
even think we get. I think it's the end of episode 2.
Yeah, it's Shinji fights the first angel. Misato tells him that he's living with her. They don't even get to to her apartment yet.
No, you're right. I think that's the beginning of Volume 2.
Yeah, the last scene is her driving him out to the overlook and showing him Tokyo 3.
Is that the same in the show too?
Yep, they do that.
Okay.
Show. Like, hey, this is the city you saved. Like, you did do something important.
You did, and thing. Good job, Shinji. Have a gold star.
Only one gold star. This is the only one you get.
Poor Shinji.
I don't know. I feel less bad for him in the manga because they're pretty good at characterizing him. Like right off the bat, like the very first page, the very first line. I'm reading it in English.
Yeah.
I've never had any cherished dreams or ambitions. I don't aspire to any career or profession in the future. So far in the first 14 years of my life, things always happen as they had to happen, and things will probably continue in the same way. That's why I've never really cared whether I got into an accident or died or something and died. Like, it's the first thing he says.
Yeah, it definitely does a far better job of giving you the context to just how apathetic Shinji really is about his entire life.
Yeah. Like,
they probably could have done that in, I don't know, the TV show. That would have been a great idea.
I don't know. I think they kind of wanted to avoid this crossover, this like voiceover sort of thing.
Oh, no inner monologuing?
Yeah.
Yeah, probably, now that I think about it.
They sort of got away with it with the whole train dream sequences.
Which they did too many times.
Yeah. I don't know, I kind of like the use of a train as a metaphor for change or whatever, but...
They use trains a lot in this.
Yeah.
In the show and the manga, like, now that I think about it.
Yeah.
Because it seems like every episode there's a train involved somehow. It really does. I might be wrong, but it just feels like it.
We should go back and check.
Yeah, we may need to check
train in every episode.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there is that one extremely long scene when Shinji threatens to walk out the first time in the show.
Yeah.
That takes like a minute plus.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and I think the second time they put him on a train too.
Oh, let's see. When he runs away.
Yeah, he runs away on the train.
Yeah, he runs away on the train. He is technically thrown out of nerve, and he's going to get on a train.
Yeah.
And when he has his little psychotic episodes, in his mind, he's
always
on a train.
When he goes down to the geofront, he's on a train. Even sometimes when he's like, there was the one thing where they were in a car, but they were also on a train. I think that.
Oh yeah, they're in they're in Misato's car, but she drives onto the one train that takes him into the geofront.
Yeah.
There's the scene of Aoba and Hyuga and Maya and Ritsuko and... Well, no. Hyuga's not there, but like Aoba and Maya and Ritsuko and Fuyutsuki are on a train.
Yeah. Yeah, trains as a metaphor or a symbol for change.
Or Hideki Anno has a train fetish.
So yeah, the manga. Let's see. So he starts off, right off the bat, in the show, he's calling Misato. She shows up. There's the Ray Mirage that I never really understood. And then, so they're driving, and then the angel shows up. In the book, sequence of events is a little different.
We don't get Ray.
Yeah, we don't get that weird Ray thing, and it just starts off with they're fighting the angel. The angel is here, and they're fighting it.
Yeah, and like I know this is a minor detail, but Shinji complains about the.
Oh yeah, the phones are out.
He complains about you get the warning, and then he tries the phone, and it's like reversed in the show, I think. Like you see him on the phone first, and then he hangs it up, and then he gets the warning. I think that's how it goes.
Yeah, and then Misato shows up.
Yeah, and then Misato shows up.
Yeah, in this one, sorry, there's this. Okay.
Well, we also know that Shinji has a little bit more intelligence because he's able to recognize the fact that A, there is a fighter jet and it is flying too low, and B, he's able to recognize what a cruise missile is.
Yeah, he's hanging out, and like the UN is fighting things, and they're right there. Like he's on the ground and the angel is right there.
Yeah.
And then they speed away in Misato's car. Like right off the bat, there's a lot more excitement, even in the show, which starts off pretty exciting. Like they're just sort of nearby when the N2 mine goes off.
Well, that's the thing, is that her car gets flipped over not because of an N2 mine in the manga. It's because of a cruise missile goes off target and explodes in front of them and flips her car.
I think they get hit by the N2 mine too. But that's after the one big thing that happens here that doesn't happen in the show.
You actually get to see Ava 1.
Yeah, Unit 1 shows up. Like
yeah, that is kind of a big thing, is that you actually get to see Ava Unit 1 in action with...
What is this, page 20?
Yeah, I think so.
Like one before that too. Yeah, page 19. Unit 1 shows up. No, I'm sorry, 18. It's even before that.
Yeah.
Like Unit 1 is fighting, and Shinji is not in it.
Well, and it also looks like the Angel's actually aware that Shinji and Misato are there, because there's a panel that right before you see Ava 1 show up that it looks like it's coming right for them. So it's either it just happens to be going there, or it's aware for some strange reason that those two are there, so it's going after them.
Yeah.
I mean, draw your own conclusion, but...
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know how it would know anything about Shinji or Misato. I think just because they're there.
Yeah.
But yeah, Unit 1 shows up, and that was weird for me as somebody who watched the show first. I was like, wait, but Shinji's here. Who's piloting it?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you later find out that Rei was piloting it, which I like this as an explanation for something in the show. That's why Rei is so beat up when you first meet her. Because she was just in Unit 1. She was just fighting. Like
Yeah,
they just pulled her out, and because they knew Shinji was coming.
exactly. Ooh, excuse me. Also, yes, you're right. They do get hit by the collateral damage of the N2 mine. It's just they're still in the city in the manga, because it really seems like in the series they're like, I don't know if they're outside city limits or something.
Yeah, they're in a weird urban area or rural area.
Yeah, because it's just like dirt. And here you can clearly see that they were trying to get away on an overpass, and well, that worked out. And it also seems to take it takes less time for them to figure out that the N2 mine didn't do anything.
Yeah, I think that's just sort of the format of the comics.
Which I actually like that. In the show, I didn't like the fact that the JSSDF was like all celebrating, and you have like this moment where, okay, did this actually kill the monster? Is the show going to end here?
Oh, I kind of liked it. It was that thing about this series that I like, that it's all very, like, I don't want to say realistic, but reasonable.
Yeah.
It's like they just blew that thing up. Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, everyone's actions are pretty reasonable. Yeah, then it's pretty much the same for a long time.
Yeah. They go, well, no, I mean, they actually don't go on a train. Like, when Misato's car gets there, they actually don't go on a train.
No? Is it just a big moving walkway, or do they drive down?
They drive onto, like, it's basically a giant platform. So instead of, like, a giant train that, like, the car is part of, it's just, like, a singular platform that, like, a vehicle can drive onto. It then physically rotates the car, and then the platform begins to move along the track.
I kind of like the train better.
Yeah, I kind of do too. But you still do get the shot of them coming into the geofront.
Yeah, that nice vista of the geofront.
Yeah, this also kind of does an interesting job of describing like how it looks, because you kind of get like a 3/4 view almost in the show, but on this it's almost like a straight down shot.
Yeah.
Like, you're really given the idea that, holy crap, this thing is huge.
Yeah. I also kind of like they have to drive the boat. They have to boat out to Unit 1.
Yes.
That whole pool is insane. Why do they need all that? They just drain it every time.
I'm not really sure.
Like, is that LCL?
I don't know if it's LCL or I don't think it's LCL. What I think it is, it's actually a cooling liquid of some kind of thing. So almost kind of like coolant for a car, just on a mass scale. I don't know what it is exactly. I just don't think it's LCL, though. It might be, though.
And this is in black and white, so
yeah,
doesn't do a particularly good job.
No, it does not, unfortunately.
Also, just a small thing. Ritsuko refers to Unit 1 as she, which that's
yeah. See, now that's a thing right there. That is a big thing, and if you are not paying attention when you're reading, as people can be, accustomed to doing when they're reading manga, you're going to miss that detail if you're not paying attention.
Yeah, which I don't think we should spoil it now, but
no,
it's an important thing. Also, she calls it artificial human Evangelion.
That kind of... I don't know, is that just like jumping the gun a little bit too much?
I don't know. I think they don't explain it, so I don't think that you would really think too much about it.
Yeah, true.
I think it's something that you go back and say, oh.
Now it makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah. And then he talks to Gendo it's all pretty much the same. I don't know. I don't think he's harsher or nicer. Maybe a bit harsher. He's got the "she's not dead" line.
Yeah. Yeah, that's... She's not dead. She's fine. tis but a scratch.
Yeah, so then they wheel her out.
Unit 1 does not break its hand of the restraints.
Oh, yeah.
And the cables to stop the beams falling down.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
That's another big thing. Like, because if you're like us and you watch the show first, where you remember that moment.
Yeah, that's a big...
And then you read the manga and it doesn't happen. You're like, that's different.
Yeah. This volume was put out before the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm sort of glad they added that nice detail. And the whole Shinji doing the thing for Rei. I mean, you find later there's a whole romance plot that they didn't include in the show. That I actually like that whole thing.
If you read Brazing Project, you're going to get plenty of it.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, well, it campifies it a bit, but it's there.
I think I liked it just enough how they did it in the...
Yeah, because they didn't do it too much.
Yeah. Yeah, Shinji piloting the robot. It's all pretty much the same.
Until we get to...
Until he gets...
Berserk mode.
Or not even that. Until he actually, like, starts working on it. Like, I feel like he gets a handle on it a lot faster.
Yeah, he does, because he doesn't take 2 steps and then fall over. He actually...
Like, he runs.
He runs. Like, and then he falls over because he doesn't know how to stop, which... Is that what it is? Yeah, I think it is.
Yeah.
Which makes a little bit more sense. It's like, okay, I can make you move, now how the hell do I make you stop?
Yeah.
And then it's again minor details, but it's the angel actually takes out the right eye in the manga, doesn't it? Not the left, or does it do the? Yeah, okay.
Did they change the eye?
Yeah, it's the left eye in
Or are you reading a reversed?
No, I'm thinking of the reflection for the show because it looks like the left eye when it is the right eye.
Oh, I meant like the manga. Like I'm looking at the manga right now, and it's online. It's reversed, like for English.
What, really? Huh.
So when I first read it, like some of them were reversed and some of them weren't. It was really bizarre. Okay, so he's fighting, and then he gets knocked out, and I don't think this dream sequence happened in the show.
No, it didn't. Because in the show, they
just sort of, like, cut to him being in the hospital, right? Like, they do. They don't even explain Berserk mode until, like, episode 3.
They don't explain it until episode 2.
Yeah.
And because the end of episode 1 is just it's just like Shinji after the Eye of the Eva gets taken out, and I think Misato yells, and then it just cuts.
Yeah. So yeah, they're in the manga. There's this whole dream sequence where I think they postpone this sequence like for like half the show, like because it does sort of explain a lot of later things.
Yeah, it does.
I mean, spoiler alert, whatever. I don't know. He sees his mom. Like,
yeah,
he has a whole thing about his mom, and she gets closer to him, and it turns into Unit 1. And that's a pretty clear indication of what's to come.
If you haven't already like watched the show and now you're reading the manga and you know in part what to expect from this franchise.
Yeah, So, like, at that point, he already has some sort of indicator that his mom is involved. Um, yeah, then it goes berserk and tears the thing apart.
And it is awesome when it is berserk. I like it more berserk in this because it shows more of what it can do.
Yeah, like
than just charge, smash, smash, smash.
like even the single panels, I don't want to say they give more detail, but they give different detail. Um, like obviously the motion is sort of not as good, but
yeah,
each individual, like, I don't know, read the manga.
Yeah. See, this is why I keep harping on Gaynor to read the manga, because like you start out with minor differences, and as you're gonna find out real quick, folks, major differences, like plot crucial major differences, are going to start popping up.
Yeah.
And it really makes you rethink how you know Ava.
I also think that they used a lot of these panels as keyframes, which I don't know if that's standard practice, but
Might be, might not be.
yeah, it works.
Yeah, it does.
Because a lot of these, even as late as like when you get into the books that are going over EOE, like I think they might have actually done the reverse where they used keyframes from the movie as panels.
Oh, I know they definitely. When we get later on, yeah, you're right. They definitely did. Because there was such a gap in time between End of Ava and the volumes that cover End of Ava that Sadamoto, who worked on the show and that all in the movies, that's kind of why there's such a gap in releases.
Oh, he was able to work on both.
Yeah, he had to work on the show and the manga, and then he had to work on the movies, both Death and Rebirth and End of Ava and the rebuilds.
I gotcha.
So he was able, since he's working on the show, he's able to go back and use materials from the show for what he needs to use for the manga. And I think you saying that those exist in the first one, I think that is most apparent at the very beginning of the volume when we see the UN forces.
Yeah.
All in a line, because that's almost like a dead fucking ringer for opening shots of the show, as are in a way the underwater travels of the Angel,
and some of the fight scenes between the Angel and Unit 1.
Exactly.
So that fight happens. Shinji wakes up. It's all pretty straightforward. Then there's a meeting between Gendo and Seele.
Budget time.
I kind of like when they talk about the budget. It makes it more real. It's like they are a human organization, and they have limited amount of resources that they have to allocate.
Yeah, I was going to say, I've always kind of wondered what the NERV budget looked like.
It's just an infinity.
It has to be.
Like, we don't want to give you this money, but we're going to give you this money.
Like, where are they getting...
It's a totalitarian dystopia.
It's gotta be. Like, considering NERV exists in China, Japan, Germany, and the United States that we know of, and God knows where else it exists, because Rebuild introduces the competing Ava from Britain. So it's like, are there actual world governments anymore, or
Seele?
Or does Seele just have everything?
I think they do.
Almost makes me wonder. I hate to do, like, I really hate to do this, but it almost really makes me think that Seele, in a way, is a more visible version of the Patriots from Metal Gear Solid.
Oh, I never played those.
Yeah, so basically, the Patriots are a group of influential men and women that basically control everything worldwide.
Cool.
And they have since the end of World War II. They're super secret. They influence everything, from presidential elections to information to pop culture to sports teams to economics. And by the time we get to Metal Gear Solid 4, they basically are propagating wars with private military organizations to drive up business.
Sounds like Sele.
Yeah, it sounds like something Sele would do, just without the human instrumentality project on the side.
So I mean, right here they talk about the instrumentality project. Like, do they introduce it this early? Like, we're on chapter 6 now. Do they introduce it this early in the show?
Yeah, they do.
Okay, so like they do talk about it during this.
Yeah, when they have the budget meeting with the 5 visible Sele members.
Yeah.
They do the same thing as they do with the manga. It's like, don't forget Gendo. Look, we know you have this whole Ava thing you need to work on, but human instrumentality is kind of that's the main goal. That's the thing you need to be working on more. So don't forget about it. Yeah, they do that in the TV show too.
I gotcha. Then Shinji wakes up. He goes. He sees Rei again.
They handle how Gendo and Shinji see each other differently too. Because in the show, it's the elevator stops with like Misato's come to get Shinji.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna go take the elevator, and then it stops, and Gendo's there, and Gendo looks like Gendo. So he's like, "Urgh," and so Shinji and Gendo kind of just stare at each other, and then it closes, and he goes away. And then with this one, he's with Rei on the gurney.
Yeah, and you sort of see this thing where he cares more about Rei than he cares about Shinji.
Yeah.
That in the show they didn't really do until the episode with the glasses and the burned hand.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, good. Drive a wedge between them.
Yeah, that's like good. Get on that issue like right away.
Yeah, because
instead of making it wait.
Well, because the big reveal at the end with him, with like when Gendo sort of professes everything about all of his intentions and whatever, it sort of makes that more straightforward, or like more, you see it coming better.
Yeah, exactly. Also, they do cut out one thing in the manga, and I understand why they cut it out, but they cut out one thing in the manga that they have in the TV show that I actually do like, and it's the supermarket scene in the show.
Where Shinji and Misato go to the supermarket?
Yeah, and it's that still shot of them like checking out, and then you hear the 2 middle-aged women talking about...
Oh, I like that scene.
Yeah, I like that scene too. I like that a lot.
Yeah.
It actually helps to set up the end of the episode, as well as like the end of the episode and the end of the first volume of the manga are Misato showing Shinji that Tokyo 3 is coming out of the Geofront and like raising up, and like this is what you are protecting. This is what you have fought for. And it also kind of, well, the thing is that the setup is not as good in the manga, but the payoff is better. Because, like, Shinji gets the idea in the manga better.
That, like, oh, I helped, like, I saved this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, he understands what exactly he has done.
Yeah.
Because, like, in the show, it's just, you save the city, and then to be continued.
Well, I think it helps, too, with that first scene or the first panel where he's talking about he doesn't really care about anything. Cause, like,
yeah, and this gives him something to care about.
Yeah, by the end of the volume, he's like, oh, I did something important, I do matter. Sort of a good little bit of character development there.
Yeah, that is one thing. I'm going to spoil this about the manga. You're going to recognize that Sadamoto has been given a lot of artistic freedom when it comes to the entirety of the manga, that he can do what he wants to, and that means he does a far better job with character development at times.
Yeah, I like a lot of the characters better.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil which character he does the best job with. We'll get to that, but you'll know when we get there. Because it's one that does not actually get a lot in the show.
Is it Kaoru?
No, it's not Kaoru,
Oh,
actually.
well, I think
No.
he did a phenomenal job with Kaoru.
Yeah, he actually does a better job with Kaoru than he does than the show did. No, it's somebody else. But it's somebody who barely gets any, to be honest, until the near the
Kaji.
end. Yeah, it's Kaji.
Yeah.
Kaji gets a lot of backstory explained in
Yeah,
in
and it's
7.
so good.
And it is like, this is well-needed exposition about him and his motivations. It's something you don't get in the series, and it's like, I kind of wish they had put that in somehow. Like, take out the clip show and just squeeze in this, because this was
do
so
the whole
badly
Kaji
needed.
backstory, because it was incredible. And it gives
Mm-hmm.
backstory about, like, post Second Impact life.
Oh, yeah,
And
which
just-
is...
Yeah.
It's such a good glimpse into what conditions were like on the ground after Second Impact, which you do not get in the show. So yeah, artistic freedom for Sadamoto is a good thing. You will find this out very, very quickly. It is amazing
now, when you say artistic freedom, did he have more to say about the content, or...
In a way, yeah. Yeah, I think honestly, when it came to like the amount of freedom he had, I don't know if Anno ever rejected anything, because it doesn't seem like it.
It's just once they got to the show, they had to cut things for time and for...
Yeah.
I gotcha.
I think the show is Anno's project, so Anno was the top dog. But when it came to the manga, Sadamoto was, like, he was in charge.
Yeah, that makes sense, because a lot of, like with manga and comic books and stuff, the artist sort of does get a lot more of a say. Like I don't remember where I read this, but Death Note, like in the manga, the writer just said that at one point, I don't know how familiar you are with Death Note, but like that L kicks Light in the face.
Ooh.
And the artist decides that L knows Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. And so that became like a whole part of his character, is that anytime they'd fight or anything, he'd use Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
That's okay. See, that's when stuff doesn't make sense.
I don't know. It kind of made sense in Death Note, just because all the characters are absurd, but especially L. Yeah, they have some more liberties with if the writer tells them to do something. There's one character, I don't know how I feel about it. Misato seems a lot more fan servicey.
She is.
I don't remember if they keep that up. But like this line right here when she's telling Ritsuko that Shinji's living with him, like, I'm not so desperate that I jump a child, just go get me the proper approval from upstairs. Like, that's a bit fan servicey. To be fair, she kind of implies that in the show too, when she has the conversation with Ritsuko. But the thing is that the fan servicey part for Misato in the manga, it kind of drops off. Okay.
At a certain point, because Sadamoto recognizes that he doesn't have budget problems, for one.
Yeah.
And he's more focused on story and content and character development and the crucial stuff than he is for cheap gimmicks.
That's pretty much the end. They talk about Shinji's going to live with Misato.
Which pisses off Ritsuko and
Shinji. Shinji's not having it.
No, because as Shinji, explains, he's fine living alone. He's used to it. I mean, and as I've extolled, numerous times through podcasts, and if, people who are listening to this who have ever talked to me in person, Shinji has led pretty much a long life of isolation.
Yeah, like up to this point he was living with his aunt and uncle, right?
Yeah, and he wasn't even living in their house.
No?
No, according to the manga, no, he's not living in the house with them. They actually give him, like...
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
They give him his own little thing in, the backyard that he lives in and studies in. So he's not even in their house. He's in there to eat, but... So, he is, uber isolated. Which is sad.
Yeah. Daddy problems.
Daddy didn't love me.
Which is entirely accurate, but we'll get to that.
Yeah, daddy issues, we will get to that. Trust us, folks.
Then she shows him Tokyo 3 rising from the ground. Still don't know what happened in Tokyo 2. Maybe they sank it into the ground and it just sort of fell through. Like, oh, oops.
Let's see.
Because I don't recall anyone ever talking about Tokyo 2.
I think Tokyo 2 is actually where they... No, Tokyo 1 is where they test Jet Alone, if I remember correctly.
Oh, so it's not built on the ruins of...
No.
Oh.
No, Tokyo 2 is actually a completely different... It's a different spot.
Oh, I had no idea.
Yeah, so is Tokyo 3. They're different places. They're not built upon the ruins of Tokyo 1.
Okay.
Because Tokyo 1 is just... Well, I mean, as you see in the Jet Alone, it's fucked.
Yeah, because that's the one that's underwater, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's underwater. So, because Tokyo's close to the coast, isn't it?
I have no idea.
Hold on, I'm going to look this up.
I think so. I think it has a harbor.
I'm looking on a map. Yeah.
Yeah, so...
It's directly on water, and even and if you pop across... If you pop across Tokyo Bay, there's not much land between it and the... I believe that's the Pacific fucking Ocean right there.
So yeah, after second impact, it was done.
Yeah, it was done. It would have flooded.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was no way. Yeah, there was no way that it was going to. Yeah, there was no. Which is kind of if you think about present day Tokyo is fucking big.
Yup.
Because it extends out quite a bit, but yeah, it still would have been screwed. So.
And I mean, based on this vista at the, they're not close to an ocean, are they?
Tokyo 3.
I don't think Tokyo 3 is close to an ocean.
I don't think it is.
Though in the rebuilds, there's that marine biology. There's that whole aquarium. I don't remember if that's actually in Tokyo 3, though.
I don't know if they ever actually... I don't know if they established if that was in Tokyo 3 proper or not, is the thing.
Like, I think I remember them, traveling to go to it.
Yeah, I think they had to travel to it.
So yeah, that sort of brings us to the end of Volume 1. Not too much different. Just a couple small things that I can kind of see why they changed them. just for the narrative's sake.
Yeah.
Nothing too big that plays like it didn't change the story. But as we get on, like, I think volume 14, like the end of 13 and 14 are just entirely new.
Yes. Yes. Well, also the thing is, and also as we're going to get along, even the stuff that's kind of the same, it's still changed in such a way that it is completely different.
Yeah, like some of the context has changed so much that some of what happens is seen in a different light.
Yeah.
When we get into, I can't think of anything too early, but I know a lot of Third Impact is very different.
Oh, I can think of something right off the bat.
Which one?
That I think we're going to get to in Volume 3.
Which one is that?
Asuka.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when Asuka shows up, we see context getting changed up, like, dramatically.
Yeah. Which, again, I can see why they changed it, but I appreciate the original intent and, like, the original telling.
Well, I mean, they definitely... Okay, as many of you know, I hate Jet Alone. Like, this is not a like hidden secret. But they do the entire episode of it in the series. And it's a passing line in the manga, I think.
I think Misato makes reference to having to go to Jet Alone.
Yeah.
But they don't really...
They don't talk about it.
Not much, no.
Nope, they don't talk about it. And I read that and I was like, yay. Because Sadamoto did exactly what I was yelling about. It's like, you don't need to devote an entire half hour to this fucking thing. You can just talk about it and then because they never talk about it again.
Yeah, it doesn't really affect...
It's not a plot point. It is not a plot development that means anything later in the series.
Because it wasn't even... Like, it was just another robot that was supposed to be like the Avas, right? Like, that wasn't even like the S2 engine?
No, it's nuclear powered,
yeah.
And it is not capable... It cannot do an AT field at the time. It's when they're testing it, it can't do an AT field.
Yeah, so it's just sort of like a one-off, like, hey, the Avas are kind of unstable, so here's a new thing. And then it didn't work.
Yeah. Also, who the hell thought it was a good idea to put a nuclear reactor into a robot?
Nuclear reactors are awesome.
Yes, they are
awesome. I will fight
but
anybody who says they're dangerous.
They're dangerous if they're not properly maintained.
They're dangerous if you use the wrong fuel.
That too. But I don't understand the idea of a computer-controlled walking nuclear battle tank.
Because it'll never run out of batteries?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, I mean, once the S2 engine gets into Evangelion Unit 1, it can't run out of juice either, but it still needs a human.
Yeah, well, I mean...
The thing is that this thing, if it went wrong, could probably work on its own, almost like Skynet on a small scale. And that freaks me the fuck out. I mean, I will be completely honest. I don't like that idea.
Well, rest assured, the Skynet's not going to happen. But yeah, it's sort of... Jet Alone sort of overshadowed by the S2 engine and the dummy plug system and...
Yep.
Just all these things that Jet Alone does wrong that they later do right. Like, they didn't really need a whole episode, but it was filler because it's a TV show.
Yeah, exactly.
So is there anything? Yeah, is there anything else?
I think that's it, to be honest.
Cool. So yeah, next time, talk about Volume 2, which I don't think they quite introduce Asuka yet.
No, we don't get to Asuka. We're gonna get Volume 2 is gonna be Toji and Kensuke.
Yeah, I was gonna say it introduces the
other two Stooges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually like how their interactions in the manga better than the show. Which I don't know why I said actually, because that's sort of the whole shtick of this.
Yeah, well, I like most of them. There is one from the show that they don't do quite as much in the manga, if I remember correctly, that I like. But we'll get to that.
But we'll hear more about it next time on Name
Insert
Ending.
name here. Trust us, we'll come up with a name for the second.
It'll be
show.
fantastic. It'll be
it will be amazing.
All right, so I'm Unit 2.
And I'm General Iowa.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.